Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to both our witnesses for being here on such an important topic. My first question is for Vice Admiral Boxall. You said in your testimony something that I thought was fascinating. You said that we were experiencing the most fundamental shift in the way that battles are fought in the entire history of warfare, which I really think speaks volumes about what we need to do to ensure that America remains competitive when it comes to our military. So I think what you've heard from a large number of us today is some alarm at the fact that the proposal is to decrease defense spending in real dollars, given the fact that the 1.6% projected increase in budget is less than the rate of inflation. So in your opinion, given the fact that we need to fundamentally transform our capabilities in that way, does this budget give you adequate resources to do that?
I believe it does. I think we start the move from where we have been to where we're going in the future. There's a down payment on a lot of things here that are going to matter, and they'll matter more as time goes on. But certainly, as I described earlier to your colleague, we had, we look at this as a function of risk. I mean, how quickly we move and how quickly we can change from the things we used to need to the things we need in the future is really a key in any budget future. But that's really kind of what we think about here from a military standpoint, and we're trying to get after inside of the Joint Force a better way to characterize what those specific changes are going to be. We're throwing the rudder over, if you will, with the idea that we will change into a different place, and how we fight will be very different than how we have been fighting in the past.
Thank you very much for that. And Undersecretary McCord, thank you for being here and recognizing it's a very difficult job that you have. I had a question about the deferred maintenance and infrastructure at our bases. I have the privilege of representing the district in which the 29 Palms Ground Air Marine Corps Station is located. And so I don't know a lot about our bases in other parts of the country and the world, but I know a lot about that one. And I know that in that base, they've been struggling with the issue of wastewater treatment, which seems like a very non-military thing to be worried about, but there's a real need there. There has been for many years. The last Congress appropriated funding to build a new wastewater treatment plant for the base. Unfortunately, by the time the funding was appropriated, the cost of building it had risen, and therefore the money was insufficient, and now it's back on the unfunded priorities list. So I find that very alarming. I hope that that's not the case with bases in other parts of the country. And I'm wondering what the DOD's strategy is going to be to addressing the projects on the unfunded priorities list and making sure that we don't have situations like the one occurring in 29 Palms.
While I'm not familiar with the particular project, I understand the problem that you're stating. It does happen from time to time. There's a range within which, if you're close enough, you can go back to the committees and do what's called a cost variation. But when you get above a certain threshold, it gets, as perhaps in this case, just too hard to do. Unfunded military construction project priorities are something Congress looks at, and something the department looks at as it looks at each budget, next budget. We have a little bit of a glut right now in that we had projects diverted for the border wall, which are competing with all the other unfunded projects. So I think there's maybe a little more of a demand signal on the military construction side than there is otherwise right now. But as we work our way through that backlog, if your wastewater treatment project gets to a life, safety, health of the people working and living there, then that will probably put it in a higher priority situation for action.
Well, thank you. I hope we can work together to try and get that particular problem solved, but also want to highlight the fact that we can't achieve military preparedness if we can't maintain our base facilities. Thank you very much for both of you for being here today. I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman.